Hello and welcome to the Tank Club. Today we're going to be looking at the monster sets that you need to get for tanking in the Elder Scrolls Online. There's a couple that we're going to be looking at today, and this is for all content, whether it's dungeons, trials, or arenas. These are the monster sets you need to focus on getting. So the first monster set on the list is the Engine Guardian monster set. Now, this is the best sustained monster set in the game. It's the best healing monster set in the game. It's the best monster set in total for any tanks that are new to tanking. Forget whatever the meta is. Forget whatever you have to wear. If you are somebody who is struggling to survive, struggling to sustain for any reason whatsoever, then try giving the Engine Guardian a go. If you're in a situation where you're not in your group, so some things spring to mind like Sanctum Ophidia, you might take the ads around the corner away from the group, put on the Engine Guardian monster set. Any situation where you're out of group and not able to benefit the group, Engine Guardian monster set. Now, the reason why this is the best one is because it just provides you with that sustain. It doesn't matter what class you're on. On average, in a sort of 5-minute fight, if we're looking at averages, you're going to get over 200k's worth of healing, you're going to get over 60k's worth of magicka, and you're going to get over 60k's worth of stamina. This is just ridiculous in terms of this, like the benefit it's going to provide you as a tank. It is just too good to miss up that to pass up that opportunity. Obviously, when you don't need it, when you're kind of comfortable to progress without it, you should. This isn't optimal in terms of your group, but it is optimal in terms of you. Now, the reason I say that is because if you are going into any sort of content where you've not done it before, there's no point trying to run meta gear on every single slot. Now, by using a monster set, you're only losing 2 pieces of gear to help yourself, which still means you can run 2 5-piece gear sets that are going to be group beneficial. And the monster set provides the least value in terms of group benefits. So if you look at Incratis, for example, that doesn't give you as much of a group benefit as Yonakrin and Turning Tide and those kind of gear sets. So use your 2 5-piece gear sets to benefit your group. Use your monster set to benefit yourself if you need to. So the Engine Guardian is the first one on my list. Now, what you get from this, you get obviously health recovery for the 1-piece. For the 2-piece, when you use an ability that costs resources, you have a 25% chance to summon a Dwemer to restore stamina, magicka, or health every 0.5 seconds for 6 seconds, and it can occur every 10 seconds. So that is my first one, the Engine Guardian monster set. Okay, the next one on the list is Incratis. Now, if we're looking at trial content, and if you've got people using, if you've got Dragon Knights, if you have got anyone using a fire staff, fire glyphs, anything like that, flame damage, then Incratis is going to be useful. In terms of 4-man content, it's not that useful, because if you're only benefiting 2 damage dealers and they're not DKs, you're probably getting about a 500 DPS increase at most. So in terms of 4-man content, not really worth it. In terms of trial content, when you've got 8+ damage dealers, you might even have a hybrid healer, you might have your off tank pushing some damage as well, depending on the trial. Obviously, Incratis becomes extremely valuable, especially when you have more Dragon Knights using fire skills. So this is a really, really good one for trial content, and usually you would kind of play this on the main tank because the main tank is on the boss. But there are situations where the off tank, if the off tank is in group near the boss, they might use it instead, so the main tank can use a different monster set that we'll go over in a moment. But Incratis is definitely needed at the moment still for trials, and it's got some nice benefits as well. So you get max magicka for the 1-piece. For the 2-piece, when you deal flame damage, so this means you have to deal physical flame damage now. You can't proc this with an enchant anymore. This has to be procced with a flame-based skill. So you have to use Scalding Rune from the Mages Guild. You can use Vampire's Bane on the Templar. You can use any fire skill from the Dragon Knight, but it has to be a physical skill. You cannot use a flame enchant to proc this anymore. So dealing flame damage to the enemy grants Behemoth's aura for 12 seconds that reaches up to 12 meters. So it's quite a big range. Unit to 11 group members in the aura reduce flame damage taken by 5%. So it's like a group buff as well, reducing your flame damage in the situations where you're taking it. Enemies in the aura increase their flame damage taken by 5%. Now, obviously, with the High Isle patch coming, they have nerfed Engulfing Flames down to 6%, so this is almost as strong as Engulfing Flames now. It's got a bit of a downtime though. It's active for 12 seconds and it can occur once every 15 seconds, so it does have that 3-second downtime. The one thing that you have to just remember is to try and keep a fire dot active on the enemy, the boss, and it will just proc on cooldown. So there we go, that is Encratis' Behemoth. Okay, next on the list for me is Magma Incarna, but this is only the one piece. So this is a monster set that I don't think is worth particularly using because it has a downtime, it has inconsistent ways of proccing, it doesn't reach all of your group members, it's only for 4-person content anyway. But we're using it only for the one piece because we're going to combine it with something else. So we use the one piece because it adds 1-2-4 Magicka Recovery, 1-2-4 Stamina Recovery. That is what we use it for. And we combine that with the mythic item, the Spulder of Ruin. Now this is a very, very good mythic item in terms of the group benefits that it offers. So you will use this as an off-tank in trials, you'll use this in dungeons, you can use this in all sorts of places, and it's very, very good. So you crouch to activate the Aura of Pride. Up to 6 allies in the aura gain 260 weapon and spell damage. For every single person who gets that buff, it will reduce your recovery by 70. So the reason why we use the One Piece Magma is to counterbalance some of the loss that you're getting for using this. In 4-person content, the loss that you're getting is almost non-existent because when you combine 3 people getting the buff with the Magma Incarna, it's almost having no impact. In trials, it's a little bit more of an impact, but this is an extremely good mythic item. Now, the reason why this is better than using 2 pieces of Magma Incarna is because it's a much bigger buff. 260 weapon and spell damage is stronger than Minor Courage. This is also 100% of the time. The Magma Incarna is only 66% of the time. And third, this is an easy proc chance. You just activate it and it's there. And it's got a bigger range. It's got a 12-meter aura. People just stand inside it. They've got the buff. So it's so easy to use. It's user-friendly. It's fantastic. And it's providing a huge buff to your group. When you think about it, it's almost the same as running Powerful Assault. But you don't have to do anything. With Powerful Assault, it's a 5-piece gear set. You have to use a skill every 10 seconds to proc it. With this, you just crouch to activate it, to turn it on, and then it's there. You don't have to do anything else. The micromanagement does nothing. It's so easy to use. Must have a piece of gear for tanking, especially for dungeons, especially if you're kind of doing a bit of off-tanking. And finally, we've got the Nazareth monster set. Now, this came into the game with the Ascendant Tide patch very recently, and it is a very, very good monster set. Now, if you combine this with Necromancers using the Colossus or with the Turning Tide gear set, this becomes extremely strong. Now, one of the things you want to try and do is this is only good for boss fights. Just remember that. If you're on ad pulls, it's useless because you need to use your ultimate to extend the duration of major and minor debuffs that are applied to the enemy. Now, this is useless in an ad pull because ad pulls typically take a few seconds. Even in a brand new group, they're not going to take more than 10-20 seconds. And so it's not valuable to use it for ad pulls. You'd be better off using something like Bloodspawn to boost your ultimate gain so that you've got more ultimate for your boss fights. Or Encratis to obviously debuff the ads for more flame damage. But yeah, Nazareth, fantastic monster set. Now, you want to try and combine this with Minor Brittle. You want to try and combine it with your major vulnerability. Now, when you activate those 2 things and extend the duration, it really helps to boost those uptimes and increase your group's DPS. So if we take a little look at what the bonuses are, so we've got max health on there, and then when you use an ultimate ability, the closest 6 enemies within 12 meters have all major debuffs and minor debuffs applied to them, extended by 1 second per 20 ultimate spent. This effect can occur once every 30 seconds per target. So this is a per target monster set. So it's not good to have more than one person using it because then it doesn't overlap. You have a 30-second target timer on this monster set. So you can only use it once every 30 seconds. Now, when you combine this with the Turning Tide gear set, you can actually maintain 100% major vulnerability by using Warhorns and by using the Turning Tide gear set and timing the procs of that set as well. And that is the real strength of this set, is the fact that it just extends that major vulnerability, which increases your group DPS. If you also make sure you got your Minor Brittle active when you do it, you want to try to use as much ultimate as possible. There's no point really using this gear set at 200-300 ultimate. You want to try and push it to 400-500 ultimate. So that's why I say don't use it on ad pulls. Try and build your ultimate during ad pulls. Get the other supports to use their ultimates during the ad pulls. You save yours for the boss, so at the very start of a boss fight, you can proc your Turning Tide or your major vulnerability from your Colossus. You can proc Minor Brittle, use a 500 ultimate costing Warhorn with your Nazareth monster set equipped, and you've just got an insane duration of those debuffs to really, really push your group's damage. So that's it, guys. That is my top monster sets that you need for tanking. Obviously, there's other situations where other monster sets might be used. Bloodspawn, Lord Warden, Baron. There's a few niche monster sets that get used in certain situations, but these are the main ones that you want to make sure you pick up. These are the main ones that you're going to find use for, and I hope this video has helped. Let me know in the comments below, what are your top monster sets for tanking? Thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you next time. Bye-bye for now.